I'm really, like, I don't know why there was 2 sets. It says that it's an expansion for combat, but it also has 2 totally separate rules and scenarios. So that would make me think there's 2 games in here, but it couldn't be because it's an expansion. So that means you need the other game to play this, right? Like, you can't play it on its own. If it's an expansion, that means it's adding on to another game. So I'm confused. But I really want to get the kids now, next time we go on a walk, instead of saying parkour, I want to just say combat. And I want a shirt that says that. Combat, or like parkour. Who needs parkour when you have combat, right? You feel me. Hopefully the camera's right this time. So I filmed the guesses. I made a boo-boo with the setup because we're using a new camera. So I messed up. I don't know if it's usable or not, but I think this time I got it right. So anyways, let's just jump on in. Hey guys, and welcome back to another Gimpys Gal Guesses. This one I'm excited about. This comes from Greg Amos. He was kind enough to arrange for this game to come to Gimpy. So I'm gonna guess it for you. Not really much to say other than thank you, Greg, for sending this to Gimpy. Definitely appreciate it. I love how, like, I've kind of learned throughout my time being attached to someone that's in the wargaming genre, if you will, that it's like a big family. It really is. I mentioned this years ago when we went, the one and only time that we went to the WBC, and that's because we went in 2018. Then in 2019, that summer, I had a baby, so that's why we didn't go then. And then we know what happened after that for 2020 and 2021. So maybe next year, fingers crossed. But when we went, the one and only time that we went, it was like a family reunion. Like, everyone knew everyone. People help each other out. And it's not just people who are like in the industry, like publishers or game designers, but like people who love the game, YouTubers, vloggers, bloggers, whatever it is. Like, it's just like a big family and they help each other out. So Greg, thank you. We appreciate it. I'm going to jump into this guesses. If you are new, welcome. I hope that by the end of this, you'll like what you see. If you do, you'll give this video a big thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you're a returning subscriber, then welcome back. Very happy to have you back. And if you could give this video a thumbs up, we would greatly appreciate it. And comment and share and all that good stuff. Let's jump into it. So this is a Compass Games game. I always love saying Compass Games game. This is a Compass Games game. It's called Combat, and it's not combat, it's Combat. Volume 2, an expansion for combat. I'm sorry, an expansion for combat. So I don't know if this is a standalone game because it very explicitly says expansion for combat. So I'm guessing this is something you need to have the original or the combat to play. But this is Compass Games, a new directions in gaming, is what it says on the box. Game designer is Ross Mortel. Developers, Adam Starkweather. Love that name. That's like got meteorologist written all over it. Stephen Fliss is another developer. And then the graphic artist is Nadir Elfara. That's the front of the box. Back of the box looks like this. So we have, looks like some examples of gameplay. So we do have a little information on the back. A lot of these games, if you're new to this, will tell you what comes in the box. Then there's usually some scales to give you an idea of like how hard it is, if it can be played solitaire, how long it will take for how many players, all that kind of stuff. So this one is a 4.5 out of 10 on the complexity. So not quite middle of the road, a little below middle of the road as far as the complexity goes. The time scale, there's nothing. It just says time scale and then there's a clock and a ruler. So I guess you're the creator of time. Time ceases to exist when you play this game and you jump the space-time continuum whenever you're playing this. I don't know. It says map scale is 10 yards per hex. Unit scale is man-to-man. Number of players is 1. So that means that the suitability for solitaire is a 10 out of 10 because only one person can play this. And then average time to play is 3 to 4 hours. Components, there are 6 new 25 by 35 inch maps, 4 1-inch counter sheets, 3 5/8 of an inch counter sheets, and then 11 display mats, 1 pad each of rosters and campaign calendars, 5 player aid cards, 1 rule booklet, and 1 scenario booklet. So let's open her on up here. Combat. It makes me think of the kids and I were walking home from the playground the other day that's in our neighborhood. And for some reason, my son was doing parkour. So then the rest of the walk home, the kids and I, we would just like jump and be like, parkour. And it was really cute. I should have videoed it. It was really funny. So saying combat kind of sounds a little bit like parkour.
Get that parkour. Get that parkour.
So maybe when you're playing this game, even though you're playing it alone, so you would look a little bit crazy, but it would be kind of funny. Every time you do something, you have to say combat, and then you roll the dice, maybe? I don't know. No, just me? Okay. All right, let's flip the pile over. This box, some boxes are like flippable boxes, meaning I could take the lid off, flip it, get the contents out, and then we're good. Some boxes are not flip friendly. We've learned this the hard way. So actually I need to flip it and show you the back first. I don't think there's anything on the back, but I could be mistaken. No, I'm not gonna, okay, I can't get the lid back on, so I'm just gonna have to do it like this. Oh my gosh, this thing is so heavy. Oh! Okay, there's the back of it. There is a little dividery thing in here. Oh no, I dumped some things out. I probably shouldn't have done that, but it's fine. I'm gonna set these over here for now. We've learned lots of things the hard way. That must be the way that I like to learn things. All right, here is a catalog. It says discounts are valid through January 25th of 22. So you can't get the discounts anymore, but it's just a catalog that just has all different games and stuff that Compass Games has. So that usually comes in most games will include some type of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but something to advertise what they have and give you the opportunity to get more things from them. Okay, so we have, I'm going to keep the box close by so I can remember what is in it. So we have the rules of play are in this book here. Then we have a separate one for the scenarios. And then there were 5-player aid. Yeah, 5-player aid cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So there's 16 of these, but I know there was 11 display mats. So that must be what 11 of these are the display mats and 5 of them are the player aids. So we'll decipher those in a second. This is American 1944 to 45 European theater campaign game scenario. So it's another scenario booklet. The other one just said scenarios. So we have 2 of those. And then this is another one, American 1944 to 45 European theater campaign game rules of play. Okay, so this is the campaign rules of play for this specific campaign. And that's the scenario for this specific campaign. And then we have this for just generic. I don't know. It didn't say, it said 1 rule booklet and 1 scenario booklet. So maybe, no, they both say expansion. I don't know. We'll look at it in a second. This is the pad that had rosters and campaign calendar. So here's the campaign calendar here, the pad that has that. And then we have a pad for this is the roster pad. Now I like these because obviously you need these, but you can make copies of them. Like if you run out, you can make copies of them. And I like this size because it fits perfectly on printer paper. So you can be resourceful and just print more off if you use those. Although I'm sure they offer refills if you need them, but printer friendly is always great. And then we have the maps. I think there's 6 of these. 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we get into the counters, which there's 2 types, it looks like. There's 4 1-inch counter sheets and then 3 5/8 inch. So I think these are the 1-inch counters and then the smaller counters here. So 2 different size counters and the maps we usually look at the end. But we'll go ahead and start. So these are cool. Not much to look at with these. This is a campaign calendar. So I'm guessing you just use this to keep track of as you're progressing through the game. It goes from December 1944 to November 1944 is on the back. And oh, no. It goes from So I guess it goes like this is the way it goes. So we have June of 1944 to April of 1945. So that's the chronological order of it. So you have the campaign calendars, a whole pad of those. And like I said, this is cool because you can make copies if you need to. So we're gonna set this here. And then we have the roster sheet, same thing. Looks like for you to keep track of who you're playing as or who's in on your squad or whatever it's called. It said that the unit scale was man to man. So I guess whoever's in your unit, you keep track of on here. Yeah, and it just is another pad full of those, same front and back. The front says Charlie, the back says Abel. And you can again make copies of them if you use them all, but those are some of the things you need. Obviously, all of these are things you need. And then we have 5 player aid and then 11 display. So let's find the display versus the player aid. That's going to be the real trick, is figuring what's a display and what's a player aid. Sometimes they don't have it marked. We'll see if this one's going to do that for us or not. This is vehicle orders matrix side A. So I think this is probably just a player aid. Yeah, so vehicle orders matrix side A and then side B. So I'm guessing this is, like I said, just a player aid card. And then AFV hit locations, front and back. And this is AFV damage table on the back of that. So those look like just player aid things to me. This looks like some kind of a display because we have like places for, what's it called? Tokens to go. Yeah, so I think this is one of the displays. It says restricted PZIVH crew positions, headquarters, communication zone, Astusa, office of the chief ordnance officer. Yeah, there's nothing on the back of this one, but I think this is nope, this isn't. This is a display. So this must be just another player aid thing, because this is a display, because it says right here, patrol display. And this is just one-sided, there's nothing on the back. So we have patrol distance, patrol time, patrol victory points, and then weather, ground conditions, and completely lost. So this is for your patrol display. This is a VF loss display, which is a little bigger. And it has a chart on it. Looks like terrain, order. At the bottom it says blocking terrain notes, range and modifier. And on the back there is an order / terrain chart. So it says like open rocks building. So terrain related things and modifiers, how it affects the game, I'm guessing is what this chart tells us. And then there are some notes like at the bottom, like blocking terrain notes, and then some little like map legendy kind of information over here. So there's another display. This looks like another player aid, because it doesn't say display on it, but you know, they might not all say display. I was hoping it would be super clear, but it's not. Oh well. We'll do our best to guess, and if we're wrong, then we're wrong. So here's another display, it looks like, but I don't know. It's only one sided, so I'm guessing these are displays. So we have, sorry, 2 of these, and they look the same. Is there anything different? I don't think so. Yeah, these look the same. I'm like comparing side by side to see if there's any differences, and I don't see any. Everything looks to be the same. So I think there's just 2 of these for the game. And then this is the War Department Technical Manual Supplement Weapon Characteristics. So this is all the information you need about the different weapons that are in this game. Enemy weapon characteristics are down here, and the friendly ones are here. And then on the back, we have indirect fire versus tanks up here, and then indirect fire versus half tracks, trucks, and jeeps. So just some more tables and information about how things are affected by other things. This is a truck hit location and truck damage. This is a truck thing, just player aid with truck information on it. It says Jeep hit locations and damage down here. And then the back says half track hit locations and half track damage results. So this is like another kind of table that has to do with the vehicles. Then this says truck, 2.5 ton, 6x6 GMC crew / passenger positions. So this looks like some type of display because again, there's places for counters. And when I think of display, I think of you're putting something on display and there's nothing on the back. So you can't use the back when it's being used in gameplay because tokens will be on it. And you can't flip it with the tokens on it because then tokens will just go flying everywhere. We can't do that. So I think this is a display. And that's my story and I'm sticking to it. I'm just keeping these all together because honestly, I don't know what's a player aid and what's a display, but they're all important to the game, right? Some of them say display, but only a few of them do. This is the Opel Blitz crew / passenger positions. Very similar to the one I just showed you, but it's just a different vehicle. And yeah, it's got places for tokens and then there is a damage thing at the bottom. This one has it too. Damage right here. So when you take damage to the front right wheel, I guess you put a marker on it. So that is for the vehicles. Here's another one. Same thing, but this is the personal carrier or personnel carrier M3A1 crew / passenger positions. It's cool. I don't know if you can see there's a place for driver, co-driver, and cupola. I don't know what that is. And then passengers. Again, there's a damage thing down here at the bottom, but this one has main gun, front right wheel, front left wheel, driver hatch, co-driver hatch, suspension, track, and engine fire. So a little more than just front, left, back row. And then we have armor characteristics and a weapon. So this one has a gun mounted on it, so you have to know what kind of gun. And then it also has armor. So that is on this one, which is not on the other one. So this would be the vehicle I'd want to be in. And again, nothing on the back. Then there's another one. This is the Opel Blitz crew / passenger positions, which does look to be the exact same as this one. So there looks to be 2 of some of these, and I don't know exactly why that is, but truck, 1/4 ton, 4x4 command reconnaissance crew / passenger positions. This one's a little smaller. So there's only driver, co-driver, and 2 passengers, but there are 2 weapons on this one. And the damage is to, like I said, the vehicle, and then the weapons as well can be damaged, and that's what this helps you to keep track of. And then another one, which is a medium tank M4A3 crew positions. I think these 2 are the same. I don't see any difference. We have driver, loader, co-driver, and gunner. And then we have an armor characteristics table and a damage table. And then as well as the guns that are on here. The guns in combat, parkour. So this says vehicle ID A and vehicle ID B. So that's the only difference in these 2. And then there must be the same thing with these. Vehicle ID B. Yeah, so some of them do say A, some of them say B. So there is some differences in that. Some say A, some say B, but they look the same otherwise. So like these again, A and B. Medium tank M4A3 crew positions. So there's that, A and B. Nothing on the back of those. And then we have another Opel one, which this one doesn't, oh, this one does say A. And the other Opel one said B. No, C. So the Opel one has A, B, and C. But other than the ID, I think they're the same. It looks like the same on everything else. So those are all of the displays and player aids. So on to this really quick. So this has confused me because it just says there's 1 rule book and 1 scenario booklet, but there is 2. So we have this American 1944 to 45 European theater campaign. So this is the European theater campaign rules and then scenarios. So I don't know what the difference between this and this, because this just says Combat Volume 2 Rules of Play. So I guess the European theater is a separate one, but I don't know what theater or what combat, whatever this is supposed to be. So yeah, this just is a rule book. So we have rule book, just like the standard rule book, and then the standard scenarios booklet, which are colored. And the scenarios booklet is 27 pages. And the rule booklet is 24 pages. So those were the standard ones. And then there's these European theater ones. So here's the European theater rules of play, which is 48 pages, full color. And then the scenarios for that European theater. And that is 32 pages. So those are bigger and more in depth. So I don't know. It looks like two totally different games because there's a totally separate set of rules and totally separate set of scenarios. But the box just says that there's one rule book and one scenario book. So unless it means one for each, I don't know. And it's not that one of them is combat and the other is the expansion, because they both say that they are both an expansion to combat, or for the game combat. So I don't know. On the maps, there are 6 of these. So I'm guessing they're not all played at once. It would depend what campaign you're playing or what scenario you're playing, because they're pretty big. So if you had all 6 of them, it would take up the entire floor in this room. So I don't think you play them all at the same time, but I'm looking for, so this says map 5, the woods. I like to look for like identifying marks on them so I can be sure to let you know, because sometimes maps don't have identifying things and it doesn't matter, and sometimes it does matter. And this is one of those times where it matters. And we're going to fold it nicely and carefully so that we do not rip it, because this is that kind of poster material. So if you aren't careful and you don't listen to the map and let it tell you how it wants to be folded, you could rip it. No fault of your own. Totally understandable mistake that super smart people make. And I'm not saying that because I've ever done that. These are huge and there's so many of them. This one says so deep. It was just a little tiny right there. I'm sorry. Oh no. I feel like a little shamed puppy dog now. Nope, doesn't go that way. It goes this way. And I'm telling you, it's like a puzzle. Oh my god, this one is not my friend. I just want to cry. I am not doing anything to mess this up. I am trying, and it literally was like folded in a bubble, and then when I tried to fold it in the right way, it just and ripped. Totally kidding, because if you've been around before, you know that I've done that before, and I have never lived that down. So I will never make that mistake again. So take my advice if you're new to unfolding these poster, like, I don't know what to call this, but it's like a poster type of material. Listen to the map. Let it tell you how it wants to fold, and let it do all the folding, and you just help it. And then nobody has to get in trouble, or nobody has to be hurt by a ripped map. This is map 6. It says the town right here. So this is the town, and that was the woods. See? Just let it tell you how it wants to be folded. And you might have to coax it a little bit, because sometimes they want to like bend, and then you're like, what are you doing? I'm trying to fold you. Why are you bending that way? That's why the other one ripped. It wanted to be ripped because it folded the wrong way, and I just listened to it, and it told me to fold it that way. And then it ripped. Not my fault. This is map 7. Ooh, but it says there's only 6 maps. No, there's 7. 4. No, there is only 6. So how is there number 7? This is map 7, the Abbey. Unless there's not, like they're skipping a number or something, because this says map 7, but I only counted 6. See? And I'm gonna pick like this. See? And it just folds up perfectly. So I've done 3 maps. I've done 6, 5, and 7. So this has got to be, what, 4? Nope, this is map 8. So it must start at 5 and go up to, what would that be? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it has to go to 10. So here's map 8. This is the hamlet. Let it fold itself back up here. Whew. So this is going to be 9. Yep, map 9, the hedgerows. So I'm guessing that combat, like the original, that this is the expansion of, must have maps 1 through 5 or 1 through 4. So yeah. Well, this one feels bigger, but I think they're the same. So here's the hedgerows 2, specifically. There must be 2 of those. So lots of hedges. And then last map should be map, what, 10? Yeah, map 10, the ridge. So I could see some subtle differences when I'm unfolding them, but obviously, like, I couldn't tell you all the specific differences, but there's differences and they are labeled so you'll know which map to grab depending on what scenario or what campaign you're playing. There are 6 of those. And then last but not least is the counters, and there are 2 different sizes. So there's the 1 inch and then the 5/8 inch. So we will take a peek at them, even though some of them have popped out. And again, just like I give you advice for the maps, I'll give you advice for the counters. Some of these counters want to be popped out and will just pop themselves out. Like you open it like I just did this one, and they're just like pop, 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 just like popping out. Like they just could not wait to separate from the cardboard from which they came. This one doesn't have a home, so I don't know where this little one came from because I don't see. This is the trench right here, but I don't see any missing areas where it came from. So I guess it's just an extra, oops, see, those are popping out, token. I'm not going to go through them all because they are so ready to pop out, and I don't feel like having to find a way to store them back in this bag. Not in their holders, so we're going to just carefully slide them back in while they're still, for the most part, attached. And let that little guy just find his own way home because I don't know where he came from. Because this is where the trench is and there's not a missing one. So he's just an extra little guy that's just chilling out in there. And then last we have these 1 inch big boys, which probably won't come out as easy because they're bigger, you know, so they probably don't pop out as easy as those. Some of them have a smell to them because of the way that they're etched. So it smells like a campfire, but this does not have that. And those, if they smell like campfire, like I'm just giving you my plethora of knowledge I've gained, which is really nothing impressive. But in opening these games, I've seen some things. And one of the things I've learned is if you smell that campfire smell when you open a game, that means these were etched with whatever the machine is and that you will probably have some soot on your hands. So if you don't smell the campfire smell is pleasant because it's just this very fall smell, but the soot is not. But you don't get the smell in these boxes, but you don't get the soot either. So yeah, this says Combat 2 Sheet 1. This is the front. These look like the people in the back. So yeah, a lot of these just look like people. This is Combat Sheet 2, front and back. I'm going super quick because he shows you these in much closer detail. I'm just kind of flipping through them quickly. There's 4 of these, I think, yeah. Combat Sheet 3. These all look like people. So these are all going to be like your crew. And a couple random, like there's some vehicles and some weather, like clear, mud, snow, rain, and mist. And then there's, what does that say? Rock bottom morale, low morale, good morale, fantastic morale, and then some numbers. But for the most part, these big ones are mostly the guys that you would put in your vehicle. The vehicles on the displays that we saw, like these are the right size to fit on those displays. So that's cool. So yeah, that is Combat, an expansion to Combat. So yeah, that is the game. Now I didn't see any, it says right here, elite enemies in the form of the SS. So I like to cheat a little bit so I know it's the SS and the US because he likes for me to do who, what, when, and where when I guess the games. Or who, when, and where when I guess. So it's sometimes funny in my ignorance, but sometimes it gives me the answers. Like this one told me it's the SS and the US. So I guess you could play as either, or you maybe can only play as one of them. But this is a solitaire game, so you're going to be playing the game, not another person. But it's a combat game, and you're trying to defeat them. And you are in World War II, so it's sometime in the 40s in Europe. Especially this one is the European theater. So you're definitely there, and it's definitely from, what was it, like April of 44 December? No, it was like June 1944. Yeah, June 1944 to April of 1945, I think, were the dates on the calendar. Let's cheat again and see what it said. Give me all the answers, please. So yeah, we had June of 44, because we know D-Day is June 6th, to April of 45. So yeah, this is World War II, and it's the SS and the US. And yeah, I said the who, I said the when, and I said the where. So that is this Compass Games Combat Volume 2, an expansion for Combat. Now, again, huge shout out to Greg. That sounded super country. To Greg Amos for getting this to Gimpy. We appreciate you. And also, I was just going to comment that I don't know why there's two completely separate sets of rules and scenarios, because it just says one set, but there's two in here, which leads me to believe this is two expansions, or it could be two expansions. It's definitely two separate games because it's two separate sets of rules. If it was just two scenario booklets, I wouldn't think too much of it. But the fact that there are two distinct separate sets of rules and scenarios confuses me just a little bit, only because the components don't list it. So if I'm missing something and that isn't normally included and that's been put in here by someone, by Greg or whoever else, someone else, I don't know. But if Greg put that in here and it doesn't come with this standard, I'm not sure. But this looks to be like two games. But then at the same time, it says it's an expansion for another game, which is called Combat. So it's an expansion, which to me means it's not a standalone game, but it is two standalone games. I don't know. You tell me. I'm just guessing here. So tell me below what you think. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you in another one really soon. Thanks again, Greg, for sending this over, and I will see you guys in the next one.